I can't really continue this set of videos without going over my son Jed's accident. Just a miracle, God's goodness, that he's still alive today. To think that the brethren have separated me from him for over 5 years now, apart from one visit which was not listened to, and that Bruce Hales has told him that I'm mental and had deteriorated, along with he told his wife Casey too, and has been able to turn my family against me. It's just beggars belief in view of the depths we went through together. A father loves his son, the son loves his father. Others haven't really got any right to interfere in that. I sent Garth and the 29 odd brethren the account I wrote at the time of Jed's accident, and I don't want to dwell on it, it's hard to talk about, but suffice to say I went through the motions with him, the being pulled out, the praying while he was being pulled out, the fact that he said that it felt as though his middle was ripping open, the suffering. God never meant there to be any disruption in my relationship with my son. The firemen, the fact that one of them, when I asked during the night, I could hear him pleading right down there in the depths. I asked, what's he saying? And the fireman said something like this. He said, oh, he's saying he's fine, he's saying just get me out as soon as possible. I could tell he wasn't saying that, and I said, don't tell lies, please. I know it's tough going and traumatic, but there's no excuse to tell lies. You know what? When we had a presentation at the local fire station a year later, that dear rescuer fireman came up to me and said, Lance, I'm sorry, I told lies. He was forgiven as soon as he said it. But there are real people. I mean, firemen are in that job because they care for souls, they care for lives. What I didn't like that night was the official from HSE visiting the site in the middle of the night and saying the rescue had to stop because the firemen were in there at the danger of their own lives. Had no regard for the fact that they were saving a life. So the firemen had to stop. Well, they did stop. One stayed down to comfort Jed in the trench, he risked his life, but the rest hopped out. And so, of course, we asked the chief fire officer whether he could call the mines rescue team, which eventually he did. At first he said, no, we don't need them. But then when I went back an hour later, he said, they're already on the way. And as soon as they came, they went straight in, volunteers, straight in, and continued the rescue. And as we know, Jed is saved, Jed's life was spared. And the firemen joined in the rescue insofar as they carried buckets of mud back to the top of the trench in a long line behind the mines rescue team. But I just cannot credit that brethren who were there, including Garth, can turn against me and sever a relationship between me and my son after all we've been through. Garth, you've really got to search your soul. These are serious matters. It's not just me, there's lives being shattered and ruined by your administration because you're not on the line of healing and reconciliation and mending and restoring and recovery. I always used to rejoice when someone came back into fellowship, because that's all I knew. I didn't realise that there was any alternative. I didn't realise that actually people who were coming back were being conned by the system like I was. You've got to understand that you're dealing with trusting brethren who believe every word they hear. If you tell them that I'm bad and unfaithful to my wife, they believe you. So it makes you very, very responsible. And all the brethren who were copied into the email you sent to me in March 17, pretty much finishing me off. And anyway, I don't need to go into that because you've got that, and the 29 have got that, and I hope that you're following that up and you're taking on board my point that truth comes first. You can't force people to fall down at your feet and repent and be smashed morally and, you know, just be a shivering wreck just because you force them to. It's got to be based on truth, obviously. Otherwise, there can be all sorts of misjudgments and error, injustice. So I'm just reasoning. I wasn't allowed to reason with you. I tried during the 27 priestly visits that you came to see me after Boston 2014 through to you shutting me up in 2017. As soon as I tried like this in a reasoning way to present my side of the story, you're harassing the priesthood. So poor you is being harassed when I tried to plead common sense, and I'm pleading now on the basis of Judd's accident. It's shocking that lies were told to the judge, which I've outlined. I don't need to go, but I've sent them to Eric Thorncroft, listed. Numerous lies upon lies upon lies upon lies, including lies as to Judd's accident. I know, I'm the father, he's my son, my eldest son. So clearly the religion who I was asked to protect at the time by Bruce Hales should back out. Bruce Hales was very clear to me. He said, you take the blame, you're the father, they'll have pity on you as the father. Absolutely true. But he shouldn't then, if I take the blame to protect the brethren testimony in 1998, May 98 when the accident occurred, he shouldn't turn round, and you shouldn't either, nor should any of the brethren turn round against me in 2020, and now again in 2022 in the harassment case, which Clive Anderson, Rolf Smalden, Neil, your son, and amazingly, sadly, Josh, who's my son, who's very laid back and very devout and very conscientious, to think that he's not doing this of his own volition, he's being told to do it. Just like Laurie Moffat knew that his sons and daughters were being told to write letters. And I've just got 3 letters from Connor Glass of Belfast, the youngest being from a 5-year-old, basically saying that their father is evil and they want nothing to do with him. Well, the religion, the Robs and Desmond Robb and religious leaders in Belfast should not be doing anything to turn children against their own father. That's going against God's ordering. So you can see I feel deeply saddened when talking about Judd's accident and the fact we were up all night, and we got so many letters, as you've seen from the reports I sent in. But those reports show how dedicated and devout I was to your religion, Garth, in those days. And quite frankly, I'm now saying that I was defrauded, because being a trusting person, I trusted that everybody else would be trusting like I am. And when Daniel Hales told me that I need to take legal protection out against brethren, when I bought a site, Bramwell Park Hall, for, I've said this before, for a school, a meeting room, plus a house for myself, that just beggars belief. I don't think any church, certainly no mainstream church, would ever be so bad that their congregants had to take legal protection out against the elders and against those in charge. That's a massive, massive exposure. And then Phil Hutchinson pretty much led the whole insurance claim, aided by Chris Stutterheim, who came to witness in court, and we lost. No wonder you didn't give me, I didn't have anything like the quality of legal protection that I've had since you booted me out in 2017. Gordon's, I've spent a lot of money with them, but I shouldn't have needed to spend a penny, because you should never have taken me up to court. You don't take ex-brethren to court when you boot them out, and take their businesses and their families and their whole social circle and their whole life, basically. That is the sort of thing that thugs do, and kidnappers and murderers, nasty people. Oh, you say we haven't murdered you? No, but you've psychologically tried to take all my money away and tried to get me in jail and tried to make me a criminal. I'm not a criminal, if I can just say so humbly. I could be, I suppose. We've all got it in our hearts. But I don't think I've ever defrauded anyone, ever, in your religion. I've certainly not had any relationship with any sister, and hadn't had a relationship with anyone until you forced me to leave my wife. So I think this is why you need to be open about what's happened to the authorities and to the brethren, and expose the wrongness of the Hales hierarchy, which has obviously been put into position to suppress any independent thinkers, anyone who doesn't think the same as Bruce Hales, anybody that doesn't accept that he's the man of God, Paul's representative. Paul never told lies. Paul didn't bully people into submission. Never. He showed the Spirit of Christ. So it's so heartbreaking, really, that I should be speaking this way on the longest day of the year in beautiful sunshine in the grounds of my home. Far rather be having you round for a drink and chilling, but you've got to sort these things out, and then we'll do that. I'm towards the brethren, despite all this. You haven't managed to break my love for my brethren, much as you've tried to catch me out and defame me, make me fail. Having to go for MRI scans and being told that I was blatantly mental. Having to use money and a big struggle with One Medifund to get funding for the counselling that was needed, and just about kept me sane during the time that you were trying to crush me psychologically. It certainly is spiritual abuse. I hope you've looked it up after I've raised it in my last letter. So that is that, and I'm just going over that matter to convey that I am very, very upset with the brethren, with a Christian organisation, over that whole matter involving my own family. And now you've ruined my whole family, and you've taken away from me, or ruined me. They might be, I don't think they're happy. They have to pretend to be happy when you humiliate the father, but no true son is happy when that happens. I wasn't happy when my father was humiliated, especially when he asked to come back into fellowship 6 months after he was withdrawn from. You've got to understand that the father-son relationship is special. You left home at your earliest opportunity when you were 16. When you were 16, I don't think it was right, Garth. You made me leave home. You say, oh no, you were 15. How can you say that? Because you were so definite. You've got to leave. The brethren are withdrawn from father. You've got to leave today and stay with the brethren. I'd gone to bed that night. So if you've led me down this route, at least show that you've got an ounce of moral decency by putting matters right. If I recommended a group of people to a person and they let him down, I would feel responsible. And I know Bruce Hales, in his awful letter to me from Boston in October 14, said that I could be the reason for Ray's story and his wife going out of fellowship. just through helping them, well, that was construed. I think Ray Story is a very good man. If he goes out of fellowship, it won't be because of me, it'll be because you are not good enough for him. And that's, if you remember, I was in big trouble just before I shut up because I recommended to somebody that they went to him for help in Nottingham rather than Keith Birch. So the official thing is very, very, very strong. It's a very, very strong hierarchy. And then Neil and co have the audacity to say to the Leeds police that there's no hierarchy. You're all I suppose that means you're all beautifully mutual, and you're each making way for each other, and there's no control from you or Bruce Hales, Garth. I think, honest brethren, if you look at that letter that I sent to Ryan Lum and Bruce Dixon in October 2016, around the time when you asked me to sit back in the Leeds Assembly, you will see that I was asking in that, I was saying the control is such that you all have to think one way. Well, there should be a broad-mindedness that embraces both sides of the story and looks certainly at the victim. I was a victim in those days, big time. I've been rebuked and rebuked. If a victim makes a plea in all sincerity, and I was sincere, I can assure you, just compassion, kindness, decency would ensure that you look into it impartially, without any forced judgment or premeditated judgment from Bruce Hales. Now, you might get all sorts of brownie points from Bruce Hales for withdrawing from me, but that's because he's an evil man. You don't withdraw from people. You heal people, set them up. Just if someone's against me, like you are, obviously, and have been, Bruce Hales, I'm not nasty back. I'm saying just sort yourselves out, and I'm ready to forgive. Just a pity that spirit can't prevail the other way round. And then we could reconcile, couldn't we? But I realise it's a very, very, very difficult matter because you put so much in. You've got an income coming in from around the world, from brethren who don't understand you're doing these evil things, giving you money at care meetings and have been doing for 20 years. So it's a pretty cushy number, and I would guess you've been getting a lot of money in. I noticed that Hales has supported you being in on the boards of a lot of businesses, including Eversheds, and I've got one of the Eversheds coming to see me tomorrow for a couple of days. So I will be looking into that because I don't think it's right that you and the Haleses should be infiltrating in the Eversheds business. It's a family business and should be, if it isn't, it should be. And the Eversheds should get the benefits of the profits of that business. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a negative start to my video on the 21st of June, but good can come out of this. All things work together for good, and the discipline that Judd's gone through and still has with his leg and the massive internal injuries that he had, and you were rushing in the hospital, Garth, and dictating the narrative to the media, and Bruce Hales wouldn't let me tell the world that he was getting better because you said the media were wicked people. I'm actually finding that the media, the Times and other private investigators who are in touch with me now are very, very careful to get the absolute truth. Partly probably because you're such a litigious organisation that they're worried that you'll sue them if they don't get every dot and every T crossed, every I dotted properly. Well, that's not a Christian. Christians are forgivers. If you make mistakes, if people make mistakes, don't pulverise them, just forgive them. And that we can trust each other and work on the basis of love and mutual respect and all the things that should mark normal Christians.